Hello there. It's going to be a couple days before I'm able to get through all of the sound assignments before we start our lighting assignment. And so what I thought I would do is I would just send a little video to you to tide you over, talking about some of the things that I have done with some of the skills that I learned while trying to do technical theater. So we're going to focus on the carpentry skills first of all, and I want to show you some of the pieces that I have built over the years. So this will be a little tour, and you get to see some of that stuff. So this is one of the first pieces that I built. It's a bench, and it is very, very simply made. And because it is so simply made, it is incredibly heavy. I probably made this around 20 years ago. And you can see that while it is weathered because it's been an outdoor bench, it is still in really good shape. This was constructed out of 2x4s, very thick pieces of wood. It is incredibly heavy. These slats along the top are 2x2s. 2x2s. And the construction of it is very redundant and very heavy. You can see the screw holes. You can see where the screws are starting to rust out. So I'll have to replace those before too much longer. There is multiple supports underneath, including a piece running along the bottom there to try to hold it all together. So it's very solidly made. Like I said, it's lasted for 20 years. It is incredibly heavy though. So I learned lots of things after making this. And this is the next piece that I made. It is a lot lighter and a little more elegant than the outdoor bench was. It's an indoor piece. It's supposed to be small, or at least slim and against the wall. It is made out of 1x2s, 1x3s, 1x4s, 1x5s, 1x6s. The holes for this are hidden a little bit behind some of this crown molding that's here, but you can still see some of them here. So while it is a little bit better than the last piece, I still had a lot to learn. You might notice here that circle, that was where a hole was that I plugged. There was a wood plug there because I wanted to try to hide some of the screw holes there. So this was a piece that I made after learning a little bit more about construction. Okay, so this is probably the most sophisticated piece that I've created. It's a set of nesting tables that's done in a particular style called the craftsman style. And the craftsman style is very sleek, very elegant, with these side slats on them to give it a certain amount of flair. Whereas the other pieces that I've created, I've done with just simple basic tools that you actually had some practice on, with the exception of a table saw. This needed a couple of specialized pieces of equipment. One of them is called a biscuit joiner, and what I did with the biscuit joiner is I took different pieces of lumber and I created holes or cuts inside them in about 3 different places, and then I put another piece of wood in there and then glued them all together and clamped them together. So this top here is actually made out of 1, 2, 3 different pieces. This top here is made out of 2 pieces, and this one here is just made out of 2 pieces as well. And so that takes a little bit of specialized equipment and a little bit of specialized knowledge to do. Also, the joints here are different than other joints in that there are no screws in these joints. This is called a mortise and tendon type of a joint. And what happens is that on these pieces, there's a thin piece of wood that goes into a slot. And you can kind of see it here where it's starting to come apart. You can see a little gap there. It's like a tab and slot kind of construction, and it's glued together. It's incredibly strong, and it will last a very, very long time. So next is the biggest thing that I've ever made, which is this treehouse. And the treehouse is fairly simple construction. It is 2x4 framing on a 2x12 triangle that's attached to the trees. It might seem strange to put a house on just a couple of pieces of board, but 2x12s are extremely strong. Inside, it has a basic door that's a frame. The roof is just a couple of 2x2 slats. The exterior is just some plywood, 1/4 inch instead of 3/4 inch. Of course, it's very heavy. We made the frame for the floor first, and then put it up there, and that wasn't so heavy, and then just built everything on top of that frame. The roof is 3/4 inch because that needs to be a little bit stronger, and then just some typical shingles on top. And this is a bookshelf that I made. So this one has a very nice finish on it, very high gloss urethane, and a very dark stain on it. I was able to hide the screw holes here with a bunch of trim and other things, but you'll notice that the brackets here are screwed into the side, and then the shelves are placed on top of the brackets. There's a better way to do that using pocket holes, and I'll show you that in the next piece that I show you. And this is the most recent piece that I've made. I actually made this over the weekend, trying to stay busy and also to add some pieces that we needed around the house. This one was made a little like the bookshelf and the nesting tables, in that I joined different boards together. Now I wanted a different look for this than the other two pieces. I wanted this to be a little more rustic and a little more cottage-like, whereas the other ones I wanted to be a little more finished and a little more refined. I'm still going to finish this one here, but at the moment this is doing well. Now, one thing that I did differently on this than those other pieces is that I used pocket screws in order to hide the screws. So if you see these here and here, those are called pocket holes. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to screw on an angle there. So it connects the top supports to the legs, but there are no screw holes anywhere in there. The only screw holes that are there are for the shelves, and that's because I wasn't really sure where I wanted to put the shelves, so I didn't make pocket screws for those. But this is a lot lighter than the very first piece. It's made by with 1x lumber and 2x2 legs. It's got a little bit of trim around the top, and it functions very, very well.